I wanted to take you through some setup for your packaging project. On the assignment sheet, there's a link right here that says choose your package solution. So this link will take you to a template site. Really, really cool site. You can choose from all sorts of templates of boxes. And you can set every parameter of the box. So you choose. The box has to have 5 sides that you design. So you could do a pyramid, you could do open box or whatever. So I'm going to choose, let's say, this shallow box here. If you click on it, you can set some parameters if you want to. If you just want to say, well, it's fine, I'm really not sure, and go for it there. I'm going to increase the height of this to 2 because I want my box to be a little taller. And then once you're happy, you can see you can adjust everything here. Once you're happy with it, you choose the type of file you want and then hit create. A PDF works really, really great if you're going to use some Illustrator or InDesign. So I'm just going to hit create. It may ask you for a donation. You don't have to do that. And your file is downloaded here. So I'm going to hide this, and now I'm in Illustrator. My file's right here. This is what the template looks like. It's got all these cut lines and fold lines and marks and everything. So we need to bring that into Illustrator. I'm going to make a letter size document. Our printer, our laser printer, only prints letter size. It doesn't print any bigger than that. So that's my limitation. If you want to use Photoshop, just use a letter size page. There might not be as much that you can do with this template, but it should work. So I'm going to drag this icon on top of my Illustrator icon so it opens it. Don't worry about the fonts because it's using different fonts. I'm just going to hit close. Now I'm going to copy and paste the art of the template to my letter document. I've done this a few times and it just works best this way. So I'm going to Control C and then I'm going to paste Control V. Now I need to fit this onto my letter size document. So I'm going to size this down and make sure that it's inside of that white area. That way it'll print. So this is my limitation on this project. I can only make it that big. Now, if you get this on your page, you're like, wow, that's going to be really small. This is actually going to be one of the sections. Make an adjustment and re-import it. And you can close that one up. Okay, this is my project now. So I would save it, whatever I'm going to call this. I'm going to put it on my desktop and call this packaging. My name. So now I have my project. I'm starting to work on it, and it's in an Illustrator file. I want to show you a couple other things that are really helpful when you get to designing. You have to design 5 faces of this. And you can see some of these parts they're for gluing, or they're just flaps that have nothing on them, dust flap. You obviously don't want those things to print. So I'm going to set up my file so that it has some layers that I can disable, but also see while I'm designing. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select the outline. This pink outline is the cut line. If you click one of them, you can see that this is a pink outline and I have it selected. This button here, it's kind of like a select similar option. If you click the little down arrow, if I zoom in, no, don't have my zoom in, there we go. Zoom in, I can select all of the same anything that I can choose from here. Let's say stroke color. And it's picked up all the same line stroke color. If I hit delete, yeah, undo that. I want this on its own layer. I want to group it, Control G. And this process is new. I'm going to cut it, Control X. And then on my layers palette, I'm going to make a new layer. I'm going to call this cut and paste in front, Control F, or edit, paste in front. Very technical way to go about this. So if you follow those steps, you should be fine. Now I can turn off and on my cut line if I want to. So I'm gonna hide that for now. I want the gray lines as well. These are all my fold lines. So I'm gonna select all those. I can just hit the main button now, select similar. I'm going to also pick up those blue lines. You know what, I think an easier way to do it is select all the blue lines, hold shift. Now I have all the lines that I need. These are all the bold lines and everything. Group those, cut those, and make a new layer that's called bold. Paste in front. And then finally, everything else that's left, these are all the words. I don't want to print those. I'm going to cut those, make a new layer, and paste. I'm going to call those words. Paste in front. And now I have 3 layers of art that I can turn off and on. So maybe you'd want to leave on the cut line. Maybe you want to leave on the fold line when you do these. Maybe you want to change them. Maybe you want to make them black instead of pink. Now they're separated. So that might help if you're printing on a dark color paper or something like that. Perhaps you wanted to make this layer less bold and you want to make it like 50% transparent. So now it's easy to pull. I'm going to make that even more. It's easy to isolate things. And if you didn't want to print the words, all you'd have to do is hide that layer when you go to print. If you don't hide it, you're going to have to make sure the words are behind your art. Okay. You can also lock layers, so fold and cut lines. I shouldn't be able to edit on those layers. I'm going to also lock the words. So those 3, I can't do anything with them now. They're all locked. They're kind of in place. And my artwork would be on layer 1, for example. Here's another thing that's helpful. You'll need to print this so that it has a bleed. And you're going to print it on cardstock as well. So we need a bleed because we don't want to print right to the edge of this thing and that's all. We want it to bleed off a little bit. So if you wanted to, on my cut line, I'm just going to select that. I believe it's grouped, so I'm going to ungroup it, and I'm going to join it together. Object, path, join. So this is now one shape. This is just a nice technique to learn. I want another line that's just out from that a little bit. So like a bleed line would be like 1/4 of an inch. You want another line that comes out from this so you know that's my bleed. So I need to extend my artwork to that, and then I'm going to cut this one. So the way you do that is select this, join shape. You're going to do path, offset path. And you can see that is coming inward and outward. That's no good. Could be a problem with these sorts of lines here. I'm going to see if I can fix this live. Any more sort of lines like that. Doing that one more time. Okay. Sometimes joining is difficult. Let's see if this worked. There we go. So sometimes those little lines can really affect it. But I can go out, let's say 10 points on this, hit OK, and maybe I make that one a smaller line, or maybe that's a dotted line even. So I could add a dotted line to that. And that to me is my bleed line. So now I'm really, really set up for success here. So some very, very helpful things to try when you're setting up your document. Now I'm ready to rock and roll. I know that I need to design 5 spaces. So for me, that would be top, the back, the bottom, the front, and I would also do the right and the left on this design. All the other flaps are for folding and gluing. So set up for your package. Hopefully that gets you started. If you're using Photoshop for this, then that might be a bit of a different process. You can paste it on a layer, lock it as well, but you don't have the same control as you do as an Illustrator. So if you wanted to use Photoshop, you could import your art into, let's say, a box in InDesign. You could do it in Illustrator or InDesign or Illustrator. So very flexible, but that's how to set this up in Illustrator if that is hopefully helpful to you.